From the mysterious to the utterly vicious, everything is fair game. This is the Kill Them With Comedy podcast, featuring true crime, amazing events, conspiracies, unsolved mysteries, and an array of weird and wonderful topics, all for your enjoyment. You're welcome.
And that proves that even people that you would trust with your life can, at some point, go fucking crazy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Kill Them With Comedy podcast, episode 31, the show where two comedians attempt to talk about serious-ish subjects in a not-so-serious manner. I am your comedic babyface, Katie Hinken, and I'm joined by Nathan Parish, as always. Before we get going, I'm just going to run through a few of my quick little plugs and pass over to Nathan to do the same. I should have brought the window up. Here it is. So this Thursday at the Queen's Head, I will be in Wolverley with Kidderminster for the Kings and Queens Comedy Night. July 18th is part of Bushfest, I will be at the Holly Bush Arts Centre, or just the Bush, as it's normally known. 8:35 p.m. is my slot. I believe Nathan has a slot for that as well. We'll find out in a sec. And then I'm at Glass Eye Comedy at the Royal George in Ipswich on the 6th of August at 8 p.m. That's going to be a long journey for me. I'm going to get the coach, but I'm going to stay in a really cheap hotel. Hopefully, I won't die. I probably won't. It'll be fun.
Nah, hotels are okay unless they've got cockroaches and things like that. It's bugs that I'm more worried about than people breaking into a shitty hotel.
And the bugs, free meals at least as well.
Oh,
and
Christ.
People complain about finding needles and stuff. Free drugs, man. It's all free gifts. Whatever you find, they're all free gifts. No, they're not free gifts. Don't take the needles and inject yourself, guys.
Don't inject yourself with used needles, people.
No. Take the drugs out, put it in a new needle.
Yes.
But how about yourself?
Now we're cooking. Yeah.
Yes, good choice of words there.
Yeah. If you're interested in listening to a audio sketch show, then Post-Apocalyptic Metal Treehouse still exists. It's written, directed, and performed entirely by one man, me.
A sexy man.
But it's actually pretty good. It takes a long time to make an episode because I do put a hell of a lot of effort into it. We've run the gamut. We've had in the first episode a superhero who falls on hard times and ends up falling through the cracks of the system. We've got a dangerous octogenarian pervert and his sidekick friend. We've got a crazy
like 80-year-old something.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I know words.
We've got what do you call it? A crazy version of Alice in Wonderland where it's all just an Australian exploitation movie, basically. We've got it all going on. It's never ending. There's even a sketch where literally someone is just picking picking a cherry tree while it is having enormously loud orgasms as they pull the cherries off. That is one of my favorite sketches. It's just
that sounds amazingly horrendous. Like in a good way, in a great way.
Think about it. Like if a hedge, a cherry is the seed of the plant, isn't it? So like, as you pull it off, it's basically having sex. So like, I imagine in my mind, if a tree can feel when it's getting its cherries plucked, I'm sure it's a good feeling.
That could be such a great bit on stage as well. To be fair,
yeah, I've got to try and make it work there as well. But I think it's already in the sketch show, so that's fine. But anyway, if you want to listen to that, it's on Post-Apocalyptic Metal Treehouse. I turn the camera to show you the logo. In fact, I will turn the camera to show you logo. There it is. Look at that.
There you go.
Look at that. I made that.
I have created this.
Yeah. So yeah, check out Post-Apocalyptic Metal Treehouse on SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts. Did say YouTube, didn't I? Yeah.
You did?
It's really good, and I know I'm not selling that exactly particularly well. It's just because I'm fucking absolutely annihilated after endless weeks of constant removals work. So people stop buying houses.
You've been telling me for a few weeks that you've had a busy block of weeks, haven't you?
Yeah, man. Yeah. again, people stop buying houses. You don't need to move. Just stop.
Or just buy a slightly cheaper house and then just throw out all the stock and then just put new stuff. But someone's still going to have to deliver it, I guess. Either way.
Yeah.
And it won't be you, so.
Exactly. Fucking so tired. Anyway, yeah, we're here and we're alive, and that's all that matters. What's up with you, Carl?
The main thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go bish, bash, bosh. I haven't got a rhyme to go with that. Let's roll the titles.
Okay.
There we go. Anyway,
that works.
So what? It is your turn this time round. Then with our new format where we jump straight in, do like a little list kind of thing at the moment. I'm sure that probably won't stick forever because we'll probably run out of things. You know, you can probably.
It's always a good idea. Yeah, it's a good idea to have like big chunky subjects every now and then, little chunky subjects now and then. Yeah.
There's one coming up. I can definitely one coming up. But please tell us what the thing is today, though, Nave.
Today is all about Nazi death weapons.
Boo, 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 boo.
Yeah, we're going hardcore old school crazy here. We're going realistically the worst people in the world, Nazis.
Yeah.
But with Nazis comes incredibly cool pieces of equipment and technology.
Oh yeah.
And that's how Elon Musk exists, because of the the German rocket engineers that America bought out in the 50s.
Oh yeah, like the whole Project Paperclip, isn't it? Like most of NASA is basically like came from like Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
Was it
well, back then? Less so now.
Well, yeah, not so. Well, you don't know.
Yeah.
Be shocked if so, because they'd be old.
Yeah. But we have three realistically things that we're going to talk about, but one of them's a little double up. But I'm going to start with, if I can find the goddamn words.
I'm just going to dance right here. Podcast people can't hear this, but you could probably hear the awesomeness coming from my dance. For everyone else, the actual sound is my chair creaking, but you know.
Dum, 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 dum.
It wasn't that good. That's way too intense for what I was doing. I was basically doing the equivalent of the Conan hips thing. But I can only go from like nipples up at the moment still.
Right, I'm going to send you a quick picture because.
Oh, that's a penis. That's a penis.
Yeah, and now I'm going to send you the other picture.
Okay. That's also a penis. I know it's Hitler. Okay.
I'm going to send it to. Come on, fucking stupid phone. There we go. Right, you should have it now.
Okie dokie. Is this Facebook or what?
Facebook indeed. Yep.
Let's download that. It will be coming up. So tell us a bit about this just while I'm getting it up.
So this is what we're going to be talking about first of all is the Messerschmitt ME-163 Comet, which is
an amazing name straight away.
Yeah, it was a German interceptor aircraft designed for point defense, and it is the only rocket-powered fighter aircraft to ever have been operational.
Okay.
That thing is a actual rocket ship.
Okay. I'm in.
So,
looking at a fucking rocket ship.
Yeah. The first piloted aircraft of any type to exceed 1,000 kilometers per hour in level flight, or 621 miles per hour, designed by Alexander Lippisch. Its performance and aspects of its design were unprecedented. German test pilot Heini Dittmar in early 1944 reached 1,130 kilometers per hour, or 700 miles per hour, an unofficial flight airspeed record unmatched by turbojet-powered aircraft for almost a decade.
So, I mean, that's fucking fast, isn't it? Like, that's.
It
I'm
is
trying to think of reference points.
ludicrous. Yeah. So I mean, basically, that happened in 1944. In 1954, they were just about on the verge of then they would have had the British. Is it the British Thunderbolt or the Lightning? One of the ones, which is ridiculously fast. Even to this day, it just sort of it can take off by going like forwards a little bit and then just goes whoop and up and it's out. It's fucking insane. But this thing was the grandfather of all that craziness, and also, as we were mentioning before, the grandfather of all of the rocketry, because this is the same rocket propellants and stuff that they would use in V1 rockets and stuff like that. But this time with a person in the cockpit.
Like, when you say V1 rockets, I'm guessing that's literally like a rocket you shoot at someone.
Yeah, and then you got the V2s. Like the V1 rocket was almost like a plane, and it would have like a central column and then two wings coming out either side, and they just fill it up with enough fuel to get it across there, and then it would just fall down to the ground. And then you get the V2s, or is it the V2s, and then there's the V3s. The V3s are the ones which are literally the straight up rockets. And they just launch up and then boom, straight back down. And they were the precursor to intercontinental ballistic missiles or nukes.
Wait, why would you ever want to do that? Why would you ever want to shoot a rocket up just for it to fall back down on you?
Oh, not to fall back down on you. It was launched up and then would travel over to the target. They're not just going, yes, fire straight up.
It was like, pew!
Yeah.
Well, that scene out of was it Grown Ups? I think it is the Adam Sandler film where he shoots the arrow into the sky and just waits and just lands in the foot.
Yeah.
All that went through my mind then.
So, so it's operational history. The initial test deployment of the ME-163A to acquaint prospective pilots with the world's first rocket-powered fighter occurred with, oh my god, I can't read that. What is it with Germans, right? And having words that are like 18 fucking syllables long. This is.
I assume it's because I've always thought this. I assume like it's one of those languages. I really should know because like I said, there's German in me. Like but fuck knows. But I assume they have like it's like Welsh. They have a lot less letters in their language.
Oh no, they've got a lot more.
They've got a lot of random ass ones, to be fair.
Yeah, this entire word is spelt ERPROBUNGSKOMMANDO. And I'm pretty sure it's pronounced.
Are you sure?
Erprobungskommando.
I'll go with that. That sounded right to me.
Yeah. But basically, they were the service test unit, and they departed the day after an RAF bombing raid on the area on the 17th of August 1943, moving southwards to the base of Anklam near the Baltic coast. Their stay was brief, as a few weeks later they were placed in northwest Germany, based in the military airfield at Bad Schweichenhahn from August of 1943 to 1945. Oh, this is not the information I was trying to fucking copy down. God damn it.
I feel like it's hard to say most German words, like especially like when you're talking about like weaponry and just anything. It's just hard to say without it sounding angry. It just sounds angry.
There's a whole meme out there which is just like das ist mein Nebelwerfer, it werfs Nebels, and a navel is a missile. And it's literally just like this thing. It's mein Nebelwerfer, it werfs Nebels. Das ist mein Flammenwerfer, it werfs Flammen. It's like there's a very simple process to the way that the German language works.
Yeah. A lot of the words are very similar to English, because I don't know why a lot of people that I know seem to have an interest in trying to learn German, different variants.
It's because it's fairly easy.
That's probably that makes sense.
Of others. Yeah, I'm having myself a Copperberg, by the way.
Yeah. I'm not drinking alcohol tonight.
How dare you? It's the strawberry and lime.
I got wasted like about 4 or 5 days ago, and I just haven't like even drank a little bit since then. I got like quite wasted. Although it was quite annoying because I spent money finally on getting that new Tiki Captain Morgan's rum that they've got, the mango and pineapple one.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, it's so nice, but don't buy it because it's more expensive than a normal rum, which is like 37.5%, and this is like 20%.
Oh,
bull.
Yeah, that's just fucking. You just drink that out of the bottle.
Fucking annoying, man. I didn't realize till halfway down the bottle that made it even worse as well. Me thinking, I'm becoming a man. I can handle I'm not getting any of the alcoholic taste. Oh, okay, that's why.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, because it's basically a strong wine.
Yeah. It's more expensive than this. Oh. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So, as the Bundescommando 16 unit commenced small-scale combat operations with the Messerschmitt 163B in May 1944, the ME-163B's unsurpassed velocity was something Allied fighter pilots were at a loss to counter. So, like, we're talking about people dealing with fucking propeller planes. And then out of the blue, a fucking rocket ship shoots past them.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that because back then it was still like the classic planes and that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, they haven't even moved on to jets at this point for the most part. Like, the Germans had worked on jet technology and they had a couple of jet fighters, but I don't think the Allies had one by that point. Maybe they did, and I can't be sure.
Maybe like a few, and nowhere near enough to be really effective because you never hear about that. Really.
Yeah, and not against something like this.
No, you always hear about like the dogfights, don't you? Like because of the Second World War, which is like primarily they said fought in like the sky and that, and it's like you said, all the old propeller planes and that. Yeah, I didn't think about that part of it.
So the Comets attacked singly or in pairs, often even faster than the intercepting fighters could dive. A typical ME-163 tactic was to fly vertically. Yeah, was to fly
quicker than they could die.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. I mean, they're going to die. A typical ME-163 tactic was to fly vertically upward through the bombers at 9,000 meters. So literally, these bombers are cruising along at 9,000 meters in the air. And then just literally between them just goes right up between them, out of nowhere. Climb to 10,700 to 12,000 meters, then dive through the formation again, firing as they went. This approach afforded the pilot 2 brief chances to fire a few rounds from his cannons before gliding back to his airfield. The pilots reported it was possible to make 4 passes on a bomber, but only if it was flying alone.
So it wasn't the most precise thing then.
Oh no, it was basically just ka-chunk, bang, and you're just off and running.
It sounds like
glider pilots.
Amazing.
Glider pilot. This is the thing. Glider pilots were the preferred trainees using the with a 6 meters, 20-foot wingspan to mimic the ME-163 handling characteristics. Training included gunnery practice with a machine pistol mounted in the glider nose, as the cockpit was unpressurized. The operational ceiling was limited by what the pilot could endure for several minutes while breathing oxygen from a mask without losing consciousness.
No. Fucking hell, okay. So they were essentially just in the open, just doing this, just nothing, no protection whatsoever.
The only people in the sky more insane than the people flying this fucking Messerschmitt were the kamikaze pilots flying into the side of fucking ships. The only people.
Fucking hell. I hope they were drugged up at least.
You've got to hope so. Although, actually, that is something that the Nazi officers all had methamphetamine in their first aid packs.
It does not surprise me at all. I know Hitler had some random concoction, and we all know the kamikazes were all doped up, so...
Oh, yeah. Excuse me.
Fucking hell, that's a whole nother level to it.
Yeah, pilots had to undergo altitude chamber training to harden them against the rigors of operating in the thin air of the stratosphere without a pressure suit.
Yeah.
including special low-fiber diets that were prepared for pilots, as gas in the gastrointestinal tract would expand rapidly during ascent. So there's a chance if you're just on the verge of ripping a huge fart and you get in one of these things, you're just going to empty your bowels the entire way up.
Oh, that has to be part of their
Just
like
chain
training to fart
reaction.
before they do it or something. You have to be.
Yeah, you have to fart before you press the go on the machine. Otherwise, you will just empty yourself out, and it would look like string cheese gone horribly wrong. Just don't do this.
Just they'll have to have a massive dump beforehand as well. They basically go through the same training the porn stars do to do anal scenes.
Yeah, just a lot of kegels. Yeah, just kegels and squats. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm not going to be shocked at all to learn that these were not used that much, weren't that effective, but were kind of awesome still.
It's basically a shock tactic more than anything else. They didn't make a huge number of them. They were incredibly difficult to fly and to land and all this kind of stuff. And what a machine, though, man! What a fucking machine!
Just have a look at that again, because it is so far ahead of I mean, it's even got a little propeller on the front, which surely can't do fuck all. Look at that tiny propeller on the front. A tiny little thing.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, though. Here's where it gets fucked up. Because Allied fighter pilots soon noted the short duration of the powered flight. It's a rocket engine. Okay? Yeah. You've only got a very limited amount of fuel in a rocket engine, and then you're done. And that's what they relied on. They'd fly up, they'd fly down, they'd fly up, they'd fly down, and then they'd just glide back, hence the glider training. Now, they would wait, and when the engine exhausted, the Allied fighters would wait, and once the engine exhausted its propellant, pounce on the unpowered Comet. However, the Comet was extremely maneuverable in gliding flight. Another Allied method was to attack the fields the Comet operated from and strafe them after the Me-163s landed. Due to the skid-based landing gear system, the Comet was immobile until the tractor could back the trailer up to the nose of the aircraft, pace its two rear arms under the wing panels, and jack up the trailer. So look, basically, you can they're sitting ducks. If you follow them back to the airbase and they don't have enough air cover to cover it, those MEs are just toast.
Just there. Yeah. It makes perfect sense. Yeah.
And it's not like they can attack you while they're gliding back in. You're like, yeah, okay, they may be maneuverable out there, but so's a fucking Spitfire, and the Spitfire now has a distinct power advantage over the Messerschmitt. So again, like very much a sort of precision-based weapon. And you're going to come across that a lot in these so far. The Germans seem to come up with an idea and want it to very specifically aim at one very, very specific task. Actually, I might have to include that now instead. God damn it. This is interesting. Okay, in fact, I'll tell you what, we'll go straight on to the next one because the Messerschmitt is fascinating, but we've sort of got to the end of how interesting it can be, unless you go into like aerodynamics and how it was all put together and stuff like that. In fact, there is one thing that I do need to say about its development. Where is it?
So I was quite surprised because I thought you were going to say as well that it was like once you used up the rocket the one time, like maybe it was built around the rocket, so that was it. You couldn't use it again either.
Well, so this is the thing, right? Yeah, this is exactly what I'm about to talk about. Yeah, so the designers plan to use the Walter R1203 cold engine. So essentially, you know how like most rockets are, probably relatively stable now in comparison. Like they use a lot of simple fuels, like just a mix of hydrogen and oxygen, and all you get out the other side is water. Provided you got it all contained, everything's fine. Well, it wasn't quite like that in the early days of rocketry. So instead, they used a different kind of propellant, which they'd been working on for a while. But the propellant was so corrosive that in its base form, without being lit, it could liquefy human flesh.
Oh Jesus! Okay, fucking hell. All right.
So this thing is filled with a highly explosive, highly corrosive, reactive chemical, and they've just strapped a German pilot to the end of it and said,
Yep.
"Off you go and hunt things."
So you haven't got to worry about it just blowing up either, like, because if it gets shot, that's the first thing you'd think could blow up. But one shot might not do that, but one shot could very easily go through and just leak things into another part, and then
I mean, the
sooner
whole
than it
thing.
splashes on you.
Yeah, it's brutal, mate. Like this again. Like there's a very good reason why health and safety happened to exist after a while. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I can also totally imagine that the Nazis were not the most health and safety conscious people in the world.
No,
Yeah.
no, they didn't really care about that whole thing.
No,
They're more
no.
of a sort of flying by the seat of your pants type nation.
they like, because I know some of the stuff like that they have like made and that, and some of the random stuff they did, and like they were all into the occult and stuff. That they really were so experimental with like all this shit they were trying. I mean, you have to be experimental to fucking go against the world twice. You know, lose once and then go against it twice. I know it was a different party, but it was still a lot of things that went into this. The people that went to the same party, it all bleeds over. You know.
Yeah, they all. There were people who were very happy to see World War II happen because they got an opportunity to fight back.
It was
again.
I heard about this recently. Was it that Treaty of Versailles? Or no, that's something else. It might have been a Treaty of Versailles or something like that, where basically like Germany had like nothing. Like they had to pay even more money after the First World War, and that's what they said was why a lot of hatred towards like the Western world was still there, and why it was so easy for Hitler to start World War II, basically.
Yeah. Oh, before I forget, there's another bit. This is the bit I was looking for earlier. Right. So the fuel system was particularly troublesome as leaks incurred during hard landings easily caused fires and explosions.
Oh,
Metal fuel lines and fittings which failed in unpredictable ways were used as this was the best technology available. So, you know how the Challenger ship rocket came apart because of one faulty O-ring?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're basically made of faulty O-rings.
Okay.
Like this entire thing is just designed by people who have no idea what they're fucking doing.
The amazing part of that is like generally in any kind of like, you know, battle scenario or like a dogfight, you know, like in the air, once you're out of it, obviously it was on about, you know, once you landed and all that, but generally the pilot themselves, once they were landing, they were like, okay, I'm in the clear, I'm good, I can get out, I can run away. Yeah, they might blow up the thing after, but I'm good. They could die just as easy, probably easier from the sound of it, just from landing.
Yeah. Just kaboom, okay, everything is bang.
Well, everything's good. Why am I wet? Oh shit, I'm melting.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, both fuel and oxidizer were toxic and required extreme care when loading in the aircraft. Yet there were occasions when comets exploded on the tarmac from the propellant's hyperjolic nature. Both propellants were clear fluids, and different tanker trucks were used for delivering each propellant to a particular Comet aircraft. For safety purposes, it left the immediate area of the aircraft following its delivery and capping off the Comet's fuel tanks from a rear-located dorsal fuselage filling up point just ahead of the Comet's vertical stabilizer. So basically, yeah, they've got.
They're so prone to blow up. They're so prone to blow up that they fill them up and run. Basically,
yeah, it's like fill it up, go away, leave it. Run. Has it exploded? No, everything is fine. Send the next truck.
Oh, that's amazingly terrible.
Yeah. The corrosive nature of the liquids, especially for the T-Stoff oxidizer, required special protective gear for the pilots to help prevent explosions. The engine and propellant storage and delivery systems were frequently and thoroughly hosed down and flushed with water run through the propellant tanks and rocket engines propellant systems before and after flight to clean out any remnants. Again, another problem with Nazi technology is everything, and I do mean everything, is so tight on the tolerances that if you fuck it up slightly with a bad bit of maintenance, everything's fucked.
Yeah.
It's like, did you know about the King Tiger tank? One of the biggest tank that the Germans made.
Oh,
It
tank.
was,
No.
yeah, fucking huge. If you see Fury at all,
Yeah.
have you ever seen Fury?
I haven't, but it's one I've
a
always wanted
Tiger.
to.
Yeah. There's a Tiger tank in that where they're fighting it, and they're sort of having to shoot across the field and go around the back, because the only place they could penetrate the back of a Tiger tank, penetrate a Tiger tank, was at the back of it. So you'd have to drive towards this thing that would just cap you one after another. Just boom, that's one dead. Boom, that's another dead. Boom,
Is that why, like, every freaking tank that you fight in every game, you have to get to this ass to blow it up?
Basically, yeah.
That
And
makes sense.
the King Tiger was such a fucking big and terrifying tank, but it had one huge weakness: the cold.
Oh, okay. No, what I expect.
If you turned the engine off in the cold in a Tiger tank, it would not turn back on again.
Because it's such a big piece of stuff that it needs to be constantly
Even that, because the tolerances were so small within the engine, like literally less than a millimeter, that as the engine condensed around the pistons, the piston heads would no longer move, and so it would just literally freeze still. You couldn't start the diesel engine.
Okay. It's like, I don't understand how you wouldn't just notice that, and then, like, straight away when you're building it, and then just think, oh, we'll make it just a tiny bit wider or something. It's already, you're purposely making a giant tank already. Just make it a tiny bit bigger, give it space.
Because again, they just didn't think of it in that kind of way. It was all about, how can we make this the best tank, the perfect piece of engineering. And then the Russians came along. They were like, we're just going to make a shitload of tanks, like shit tons of tanks. Have you ever seen how like T-34s were literally coming off the production tracks, unpainted? They just put a primer coat on them and put a tank team in them and just drive them straight onto the battlefield. After another, after another, after another, after another. Just multiple tanks every single day.
Not out of needing it either, just doing it anyway.
Yeah, and the thing is, the German tanks were invading, but of course, the Russians just kept making more. So as one German tank got destroyed, they'd have to send another one all the way from fucking Germany, and of course, it was a slow thing to build a German tank. Meanwhile, the Russians have made 50 in the time it's taken them to make one goddamn Tiger tank. It's unreal, man. Unreal. Whoa, nearly threw that all over the place.
Was it the I forget whether it was the Germans or the Russians, but I know there was one, wasn't it? Didn't they train their dogs or something to go and blow up tanks or something? But they didn't think about the fact that if
they trained them on their own Russian T-34s and they didn't train them on the German tanks, so they just ran straight underneath their own tanks.
I mean, that's a whole nother level of stupidity. That is.
Oh shit!
Fucking amazing level of stupidity.
Yeah, it gets better. It gets better. What we're gonna do now is take a little trip to the world of enormous fucking guns.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this. Is it enormous guns that... Is it like a giant gun and a train had a baby?
It is, yes.
Yeah, I know where we're going.
Yes, we're going to Schwerer Gustav, which I will also send you a picture of, because it's nice to see this big fucking terrifying thing. That's the one I'll send you, because that one is it firing, which is perfect. There we go. Right, I've sent you the image. Hopefully that should open fairly easily.
Yeah, I've just heard it come through. Okay, so what was this called again?
Schwerer Gustav, or also known in English as Heavy Gustav.
Okay, the picture has come through. I'm just saving it now. You can kind of see the people on it as well, so you can get an idea of how big it is. Even though I feel like
Yeah.
it doesn't quite give it justice, so still.
It will once you sort of figure out how much power these things had. Because, yeah.
Okay, it's just coming up now. This giant.
This is the one that I'm
fuck
just
off thing.
chucking in here because we've only got a few bits of information on this. It's
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is the Schwerer Gustav. It was a railway gun. So that entire thing that you see there is the same size as a large freight train. And the cannon on top of it has
Jesus.
a diameter of 31.5 inches.
Trying to think of something that would be similar to that.
There's nothing similar to that.
Well, yeah, not gun-wise, no.
There
A
are
manhole
there
cover,
are,
maybe.
Yeah,
Probably
there
bigger
are
than that, isn't it?
guns on ships that don't even match that. Like, don't get close to the size of that big bastard. For example,
Fucking crazy.
it was developed in the late 1930s for the explicit purpose of destroying the main forts of the French Maginot Line. Or Maginot Line? I don't know. Maginot Line. The Maginot Line, that's what it is. The strongest fortifications in existence at the time. The fully assembled gun weighed nearly 1,350 tons.
Fucking hell, I got another photo of it from the other side. Look here.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, look at that.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, it's
Fucking
not the size
beast.
of one railway. It's the size of two railways because it had
Oh,
to have
shit,
two
yeah.
fucking rails next to it to get it
Oh,
through.
is this? Yeah, did it have to have like its own rail built? Like, so to get it to places, they had to put their own
A
rail
certain-
down, wasn't it? Which
yeah,
is why it was like so
basically, yeah.
ineffective.
Yeah, because it was literally just used for one purpose. Again, like precision engineering for one very specific purpose, no matter what the cost, which is such a stupid way to run your empire. But, you know.
But anything gets shot on, I imagine got fucking obliterated.
Oh, absolutely destroyed. The size of the shells it fired weighed 7 tons.
Fucking hell.
7 tons. That's like as a small HGV. That is like someone firing a hard fucking connected lorry at you, non-articulated lorry. That is what that is.
If I remember correctly, they were bigger than a person, weren't they? I was trying to have a look then.
Oh,
on
a lot
Google.
bigger. Yeah. And they had a range of 47 kilometers. Now, not only that, but the caliber and the size of the explosion required to fire that shell was so big that every single time they fired it, they had to change the caliber of the round they were firing. Right.
Yeah.
As they fired the first shell, the explosion was so large it would actually expand the size of the barrel.
Oh, fucking hell, okay.
So then the next round they loaded had to be about 1 to 2 inches bigger than the previous round. And then they'd fire another one, and again, it had to be 1 or 2 inches bigger than the previous round. And then they had to replace the entire barrel.
That's what I was going to say. Like, how is that going to not just destroy yourself after a few? But yeah, fair enough then. Jeez, that's okay.
Yeah. Like, that is the weird level we're talking. And again, this weirdness with tolerances, because like they would have had to figure that out. They would have had to figure out the expansion on the barrel each shot and then adjust for it with the next caliber round.
Yeah, it seems like less
that
like
so
figuring
German.
out, just less figuring it out, just more trying to deal with the problem that occurred from it, pretending that it was meant like that.
Basically, yeah.
Every single one of these is just the epitome of like somebody that's high as fuck, just coming up with crazy ass fucking weapons for the time as well.
It is, and there's never been a gloriously stupid super weapon since the Nazis, and they really know how to take it somewhere. They really know how to go fucking crazy with it. But
Yeah, we just have all these quiet chemical weapons nowadays, like the Putin one. I
Yeah.
forget what it is now.
Novichok.
Novichok. Yeah, I always got to say Novocaine with that, but that's the dentist stuff. And a
Yeah.
really good Fall Out Boy song too.
Oh God. Okay, so here we go. Here's the size of the ammunition. I've found it exactly. Right. So the length of each shell was 11 feet.
Fucking hell. Okay.
The weight of the high explosive shell, because remember, there is a high explosive one as well as an armor piercing. What the fuck isn't that shell going to
Yeah,
pierce?
I was
For
thinking
fuck's
that.
sake.
I think anything that would just bounce off. But...
Yeah, I know. But no, apparently they need to upgrade that shit to have just a giant chunk of steel fall out the sky on you. Yeah, so the high explosive round weighed 4,800 kilograms. The armor piercing 7,100 kilograms. Muzzle velocity on the high explosive was 820 meters per second. That's it's stupid. It's stupid. We're talking
Fast.
like way beyond the speed of sound. Like just
Okay.
go bam. Yeah. The maximum range was 48 kilometers, as we said, 30 miles. The explosive weight.
Wow, that's quite good though, to be fair.
Yeah. The
I don't know why,
explosive weight of the high explosive round was 700 kilograms of TNT.
It's just great that they're using TNT as well. I swear, isn't that like just known to be super unstable too?
Yeah.
Like really unstable.
Well, actually, it's because TNT is the sort of the basis that they judge everything else on, because it's like the base explosive that everyone knows how, what it does. They go like, that's why nukes are 50 megatons. They are 50 megatons equivalent of TNT.
Oh, okay. I never realized that.
Yeah.
So they may not have been specifically using TNT. It's just that's how they measure this.
That's how they measure the explosive.
Okay.
The explosive radius.
One tiny thing that's better about this, I guess.
Yeah.
But
now the effect of sorry. I'm excited. The effect of the different shells, right? The crater size left by the high explosive round was 9.1 meters or 30 feet wide. Yeah. That's like a house, just a whole house, just.
You know what? I'm not going to lie. I just expected it would be bigger, but at the same time, that makes sense when I actually think of it realistically.
Oh, yeah. That's not the explosive area. That's the crater size. That's the initial explosive area. Outside of that, you then get the shockwave. Yeah. Then the penetration of the armor piercing round was 7 meters of concrete.
Fucking hell.
So it was going bam straight through anything, man.
I suppose, yeah, that's just literally designed to just pierce straight into buildings, isn't it? Rather than just blow the building outside, just go straight in and then blow up or whatever.
Yeah. Or not even blow up. That's the thing.
Well, just
once
whatever,
you've got an armor-piercing round going at that speed, like all of the stuff it takes with it is what's going to kill everyone inside the building.
Fucking hell. Okay.
And that is the quick little tale of Schwerer Gustav, because that brings us quite neatly into what they were going to do next. Now,
because was this quite near the end of the war then, that big giant gun?
That was actually quite near the start of the war. That was in the 1930s. And they sort of stopped using it after a while because they were starting development on this next thing that we have to go through a different kind of technology to get to first. Now, have you ever heard of the Panzer VIII Maus?
Panzer in general sounds familiar.
Yeah. The Panzer is the pattern of tank that they used most commonly in the German army, the German Panzer tank. They had the Panzerwagen, which was like a tiny little tank, which had an automatic firing cannon. And then they had the big Panzer tank, which had the big single shot boom, kill you.
It's a great explanation there.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, maybe you understand it completely.
Now, I have to share this with you again. This is the precursor to what they were going to be doing later on. If you have the
Okay. Got it. Just saving it. And it's saved. Just pop it up. Doesn't look too scary, to be fair. Oh, I'm on the wrong page.
yeah. Now, it doesn't look too scary because you don't have that much perspective.
Okay, I mean, in life, I don't, so fair enough.
Because
Okay, there it is.
this is the Panzerkampfwagen 8 Maus. It's a German World War II super heavy tank. It is the biggest tank they ever made. But this is only a prototype. It was the only one ever made, and it was captured by the Russians in late 1944.
Okay.
It is the heaviest fully enclosed armored fighting vehicle ever built. 5 were ordered, but only 2 hulls and 1 turret were completed. The turret being attached before testing grounds were captured by advancing Soviet military forces. So,
See, the thing is, I was just to gotta say, the thing I was completely expecting, just in my English speaking language, naturally heard mouse, naturally thought I was going to be a tiny tank, it's going to be miniature little spy thing. No, the complete fucking opposite. And it's MAUS, is it?
Yeah, there's a reason though. There's a reason why this one's only called the Mouse, and I'll explain that in a minute.
Okay.
Because this one has a mass of 188 tons. It has a length of 1.2 meters, a width of 3.71 meters, and a height of 3.6. It required 6 crews, a commander, gunner, 2 loaders, a driver, and a radio operator. And its armor at the front was 8.7 inches thick, which meant that no current weapons, realistically, on any tank could have penetrated its armor from the front. None of them. Not
now.
one. Well, now they could because we've got things like Sabre rounds. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But at the time, genuinely nothing could go through. But like, as I say, now we've got Sabre rounds, which, do you know what a Sabre round is?
Not a clue.
Oh, right. Okay. Quick little check. This is all about military tech, which is really cool, but also deadly. So, the Sabre round is a magnesium-tipped round. It looks like a normal bullet, but it is 3 feet long, and it tends to be fired either from an automatic firing tank or from the A-10C Warthog, which is a plane that sort of fires it from a chain gun on the front. But it can only fire it for a burst of 1.5 seconds. Because if it fires it for longer than that, the Sabre round's recoil will stop the plane in midair.
Wow, okay. Okay.
Because the rounds are incredibly fast-paced and incredibly, big rounds. But not only that, as I say, they're also magnesium tipped. So as you fire it, the magnesium lights, it hits into the side of a tank and melts through the armor, causing a big explosion on the inside.
Yeah. Wow, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes perfect sense when you explain it, but I just never thought of that concept of putting because I've seen like magnesium and how they use it to go like in like building when they're taking down buildings and stuff. Yeah. Well, okay.
Sweet.
That's fucking badass, to be fair, really.
Yeah. So, but basically, you don't really get to say much about the Mouse apart from the fact that it was essentially designed to be a support tank. It was designed to sort of sit there at the edge of the battleground and occasionally like roll up a big street or something like that where it can't get flanked. Because of course, if you get behind it again, you can track it. Eventually, you can get behind it. You can swamp it over. The tank gets taken down. But realistically, it was never actually, as I say, designed to be the be-all and end-all of what the Germans wanted to make
Hmm.
regarding tanks. Because this, which I'm about to send you, is the actual tank they wanted to make from that one. It is called the Rat.
Fucking hell. Jesus. I don't know I don't know how to feel about these names.
I know, right?
Fucking hell. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
You've
How
just
much-
seen the size of the rat, haven't you, Carl?
What are the size of rats in Germany compared to the mice that they have?
Yeah, they must be
Jesus.
the size of fucking bears, man.
Yeah.
Rats the size of bears.
Check this out, people. This is fucking immense. Look at that. What the hell?
By the way, that down there in the front, that is a big tank. That is a Hetzer, I believe, or something like that. But basically, that is an anti-tank gun platform right in front of it. That is to scale what it would look like.
That just looks so impossible. The power that would be needed to make that move even the tiniest bit. Think about the kind of petrol that Hummers take. Just a Hummer.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd be crushed in a second by that. Look at the people on the top as well, just chilling like it's normal to be up there as well.
Yeah, and this is the thing, right? Admittedly, this never got to be in production.
Can I just say as well, I love it as well that they even realised when they were putting the concept together and putting this picture together, even they knew they wouldn't be able to cover it in anything, and they even made it look rusty.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they put a look at fresh
We can't
coat of paint?
possibly maintain this motherfucker. Look at the size of it.
Jesus.
So yeah, the Land Cruiser P1000 Rat was designed by the Nazis. The plans exist. You can look at the plans. They have them. That thing would have worked.
I mean, just because they had the plans, though, would it have worked? Would it have?
Well, they're Nazis, and as we've seen what they've been able to achieve so far, if they're going to put their mind to something, it may have been practically useless, but it would have worked.
It would have turned into a building after 50 miles.
Well, this is the thing, because you're actually not far off. Right, so it is not actually an anti-tank weapon. It is not designed to go onto a field and fight tanks.
Okay.
It is designed as a mobile shore battery. So the railgun we were looking at before, the big Gustav, that is basically the precursor to this. Instead of laying the tracks down and moving it along a rail, it has its own tracks built in itself because it's a tank. And what they would do is they would gently roll it up and down the coast of France, back and forth, or wherever they wanted it. And if any ships came nearby, it would turn its cannons towards them and fucking annihilate them. It was basically just an opportunity to have 4 or 5 of these things cruising up and down the coasts of German military areas and just destroying anything that comes near.
Right. I mean, that makes more sense than taking them out and about. I still feel like it makes a lot more sense to just put the guns on, some kind of frame like normal armies do. Like everyone does now, like everyone would ever, should ever. But sure, okay. If you really want to do that. Right.
Don't get me wrong, it's not necessarily the smartest thing they've ever designed. For example, let's just take into account the mass, which is 1,000 tons. It weighs as much as a building.
It looks bigger than most buildings. So that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like a skyscraper just rolling around in weight. Like if you go over the smallest area of bog, you're not coming out again. You're fucked.
Yeah. So you don't have to put rails down anymore. They've got their own rails, but you need to have a very specific area that's been planned out and meticulously planned. So it's basically a rail anyway.
Yeah, basically, yeah. In its
Yeah.
entire length, by the way, 35 meters. So 3 times longer than the mouse. It's also 39 meters tall, including the guns, which, Jesus Christ. I just...
Well, I
It's
get the
insane.
thinking.
No, sorry, that's the guns, actually. It's 11 meters high. But it's 20 people were supposed to crew it. Up to 41 people could crew it. It is literally a land battleship.
Yeah, like a warship
It is
kind
not,
of thing.
yeah, it's not a tank anymore. It's a whole different thing. And again, the designs exist. The Nazis wanted to make this fucking thing. They wanted to make a lot of them.
It's just, why not just put the fucking guns on? It's your coastline anyway.
It's
You
exactly
could just
what you
put a
say,
frame
Carl.
there.
Yeah, but it's exactly what you say, Carl. It's just a bunch of absolutely over-the-top, methed up Nazi officers
exactly
going,
what it
what
is.
is the coolest thing this we could make? Okay, let's think about this, okay? We're gonna do a really big tank, okay? Where's the other ones? Okay, so this really big tank.
Only my past experiences with drugs that makes me understand the thinking that went behind it.
Exactly.
The only reason.
Oh man!
Wow, I never have ever seen that before.
Yeah, its main armor, and this is on all platings. Like this is all the way around the fucking thing. Was 14.2 inches thick. Like that's insane. Like you cannot get through that armor. That's not possible.
I mean, yeah, I was about to say, why would you bother doing it? Because no one's gonna, if they were there, no one's gonna try and go against them because they're right on your shoreline anyway. But I suppose they might have to.
I have the answer as well. The answer is tall boy bombs, the first bunker buster bombs that they made, because those were what they used to destroy the Tirpitz. The Tirpitz was an unsinkable ship, supposedly. There were two ships that were huge in the German army. We could have put these on there as well, to be honest, the Tirpitz and the Bismarck, because they're fucking huge, man. Like they were the biggest ships, bar the Yamato, I think, which was a Japanese ship, which was even bigger and even more insane. But
I think it's one of them, and it just doesn't look as impressive when you see a giant ship because it's like so hard with the reference because it's just in a big pool of water.
Yeah, but to put it into perspective, like the Tirpitz and the Bismarck were both basically one hit kills. Like if they came into a battle, that was it. No one else could win. The Bismarck stood up against, I think, 2 different American battleships and a load of cruisers and stuff like that, because it had just basically beached itself or got caught somewhere, and they just nailed it for days and days and like hours and hours and hours of bombardment to take down one ship. And the Tirpitz, and the Tirpitz wouldn't even get taken down by that. Like there were areas where the Tirpitz bow armor was so thick that just nothing would get through. So instead, they flew a shitload of planes over the top and just bombed the ever-loving fuck out of it. And they used tall boy bombs, which are these incredibly tall, as you'd expect, bombs, really thin.
Yeah.
Had an explosive.
I don't know what to expect on the fucking German names anymore, to be honest.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh no, these were the Allied bombs. These were the Allied bombs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, makes sense.
And they just penetrated straight through the bow of the Tirpitz and just boom, blew the entire thing to pieces. But of course, if you've got
it's like a long bomb, so that it would go through and it'd have more. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So basically, you pierce using the front of it, and then once it's inside, it detonates, and it has a sort of timing to tell it. Yeah. But again, this thing's got 14.2 inches of armor everywhere, and the Tirpitz had a wooden deck, which this doesn't. This is just fucking steel. So if it had been made, it probably would have been relatively safe against those kinds of attacks. And it also had 4 128mm AA guns. So if anything did try to fly near it, it could just shoot them out the sky.
See, it all makes a lot of sense, but it still makes much more sense having it stationary. And I imagine
Here's
you
the
could
bet.
put in so many more if you didn't build a fucking giant
Yeah.
motor and house underneath it.
Here's the
Okay.
thing, though, Carl. Here's the thing, though. It can actually go 25 miles per hour.
Yeah, for about 5 seconds, sure.
No, but here's the thing, right? It's actually pretty operational. It has a 2-meter ground clearance, which means it can basically drive over most trees. It's got
Yeah, that makes sense.
an operational range of 120 miles.
Does that mean like with if it was fully fueled up, you could go that
Fully
far?
fueled up. Yeah.
That's surprising. I mean, it's
Yeah.
still not. I was about to say, still not that far when you think about the size of it, but I suppose for what they wanted, it was plenty.
And of course, it wouldn't be going by itself. It would have a convoy for fuel and things like that, so it would be able to continue its drive even longer, etc. You know.
True, yeah, it's in its area as well, so yeah, it would have all that.
Yeah, yeah. But also,
Alright.
do you want to know? Do you want to know how they managed to get that? Well, how they would have managed to get that to move.
How do you mean?
Right. So, this is what it requires to get it to move. 8 different Benz engines, Mercedes-Benz engines.
To be honest, I expected more. So that
Yeah.
that actually seems like quite good engineering, I guess.
True, but the only reason
they
is
do like
because
their cars in Germany.
yeah, but the reason, yeah, true, and especially Benz's, which you know is nice to know that it was going to be used in a weapon of war. Nice
Sure.
there, Mercedes-Benz.
I'm sure there's loads of companies that's been involved in wars. Probably wars we don't even know about. That's probably not true, actually. Forget that. That's not true. How would we not know about this? But
so yeah, it required 8 of these Mercedes-Benz engines, 20 cylinders, marine diesel engines. So like that's 20 different fucking pistons going, and times 8, and they were. It doesn't say the literage of them, but they could put out 17,000 horsepower.
I've been watching Clarkson's Farm lately, and I know that's quite a lot.
yeah, exactly. But that's basically that's where we step off of reality.
I want to have a look at that again, though, because that's a fucking. I mean, that is a beast, and it's shocking to learn now from first looking at it that it's an actual viable thing. Because it sounds viable.
That could have happened. Yeah.
Yeah. It's surprising that some form of that hasn't really happened since, because there's been nothing like that, has there?
Well, the reason why is because shells are no longer realistically the best way to deal with big ships. Battleships aren't a thing that exist anymore. You mainly have dreadnoughts and carriers and things like that because of the way they dealt with the Tirpitz. You have a ship out there in the area, and then you have a bunch of planes fly off from the deck, and they have 4 or 5 times the amount of weapons that you could fire in the same amount of time. They're more precise. They've got tracking systems and things like that. There's just no need to have those kinds of calibers.
It seems like, you know what, one thing that seems to come through from the ones we looked at so far, with the exception of the first one, but I don't really think that will go against it anyways. It's the Germans seemed a lot more into land-based stuff, probably water-based stuff as well, rather than air, which is and the one thing they fucking did was that should never be redone. It's just not a smart idea. None of that plane was a smart idea. Yeah,
but again, gave us the precursor to all of the getting to the moon and things like that. It's crazy how much this stuff connects throughout history. But you ready for the final and most crazy one, Carl? Because this one gets fucking weird. Excellent. This is the story of Dick Locker. Dick Locker.
Wait, Dick Locker or D Clocker?
D Glocker.
Oh, damn it. I'm going to call it the Clocker. Cocker. I don't know what I'm calling it anymore.
So,
okay, it's come through.
You should have the picture.
What the fuck is that? Okay.
This
it looks like
This shit's weird, Carl.
I'll tell you what it looks like as I'm loading it up to me. It looks, I don't want to say it before it comes up, but it looks to me like the German equivalent of the Liberty Bell.
It's essentially that, but also a horrible, horrible Nazi death weapon.
And what's that? Has it got Nordic letters around it?
Yes, it's got runes on the side. Yeah.
Runes, yeah. All right.
Because the story of Die Glocke is very, very strange. It's not necessarily 100% true, but there are definitely chunks of it that are true. And it's very interesting. So,
Probably like the majority of the stories we talk about in here anyway, so.
yeah, exactly.
Who
So Die
knows what's true?
Glocke was a purported top secret Nazi scientific technological device, or Wunderwaffe, also known as a wonder weapon. It was later popularized by military journalist and author Nick Cook, who associated it with Nazi occultism, anti-gravity, and free energy research.
To be fair, when I looked at it, I assumed it was going to be something to do with the occult side of it, because I knew the Nazis were quite into their occult stuff.
They really were. Mainstream reviewers have criticized claims about Die Glocke being pseudo-scientific, recycled rumors, and a hoax, etc., etc. We deal with that a lot on this. It doesn't necessarily stop us from being interested in the story. So, where is it?
Fuck, it's such a weird looking thing. I mean, just from looking at it, not knowing what it is or anything, I assume a bomb. That's all I can assume at the moment.
Yeah. Essentially, the idea is, and it's difficult to know exactly what it was designed to do, but the actual, again, the designs do exist. They are there, but we have no idea what they do. We've only got a very small proportion of the actual designs needed to put the whole thing together. So essentially, you're just looking at one piece of a jigsaw and going, I don't know, man. Like, is it a train? Is it a fucking, a UFO? Is it a dog with a bone? I don't fucking know,
Which begs the question straight away as to why they got rid of like the rest of the plans or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and there was a lot of stuff burned in those trials. And also, again, other thing to be interested in is, again, the anti-gravity thing. And a lot of people suggest that maybe Die Glocke is connected to the UFO sightings and the ideas that the Nazis were working on, saucer technology and all this kind of stuff, and having secret Nazi lunar bases and stuff like that. It all comes in involved with Die Glocke.
Because to be fair, like the timing is most of the reports started from like the atomic bomb kind of time, which is also the time of like the war, obviously.
Yeah.
They say after the atomic bomb, but it's obviously after the war, so it's all the same.
Yeah. Allegedly, it was an experiment carried out by Third Reich scientists working for the SS in a German facility known as Der Riese, or the Giant, near Wenceslaus mine and close to the Czech border. Die Glocke is described as being a device made out of a hard, heavy metal, approximately 9 feet wide and 12 to 15 feet high, having a shape similar to that of a large bell. According to Cook, this device ostensibly contained 2 counter-rotating cylinders, which could be filled with a mercury-like substance, violet in color. This metallic liquid was codenamed Serum 525 and was otherwise cautiously stored in a tall, thin thermos flask, a meter high, encased in lead.
Okay.
So it sounds fissionable if it's something kept in lead, but also a violet-colored metallic liquid. Very interesting.
So so there's no we don't actually know what that liquid was, though.
No idea.
Okay.
No idea.
Because it sounds like something like nuclear or something, doesn't it? But this was obviously before the atomic bomb and stuff.
Yeah.
But to be fair, didn't they know the atomic bomb was like feasible for like 15 years before it was made, didn't they? So
it was theorized. Yeah, it was theorized. and the idea of how much energy was in an atom and stuff like that. But the actual splitting of it was
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
It was additional substances said to be employed in the experiments, referred to as light metal or light metal, included thorium, which is a actual radioactive material and can be used in thorium power reactors, which are actually, by the way, the safest kind of nuclear reactor, because you have to actively heat up a thorium reactor to get it to produce the reaction, because you need to melt it in with a solution of liquid salt. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because you always hear like nuclear reactors and stuff that they're really like dangerous, but from what I've heard, a lot of them aren't. So
The
I don't
vast
know.
majority are really safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, the vast majority of times, like I went to, I think was it the Magnus one or something like that recently, and inside the nuclear reactor, you have a base radiation of 0. You step outside and the radiation increases because there's a background radiation everywhere. But because it's inside the nuclear facility, they're like, no, we're going to lock it all down. It's completely safe in here. No radiation at all. Thank you. Apart from where it's supposed to be.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, Cook describes Diglocker as emitting strong radiation when activated, an effect that supposedly led to the death of several unnamed scientists. I mean, it's Nazi Germany again. Unnamed scientists dying seems pretty fucking Nazi to me. They're like, yeah, that's cool. Who cares?
None of that surprised. I'd be shocked to find out that no one died.
Yeah. And various plants and animal test subjects as well also died. Based upon certain external indications, Witowski states that the ruins of a metal framework in the vicinity of the Wenceslas mine, aesthetically dubbed the Henge, may have once served as a test rig for an experiment in anti-gravity propulsion generated with Die Glocke. Others, however, dismissed the derelict structure as simply being a conventional industrial cooling tower, but who can know?
So what evidence have they got that it was anything other than? So I'm kind of confused what they were trying to say. It might have been like something to do with anti-gravity. What? Like,
Yeah,
not
this
an
is the
alien
thing.
stuff.
This is the reason why it's not too sure. But it's got some people have said it's an anti-gravity device. Some people have said it's a free energy thing, like a kind of fusion reactor. Some people have said it would have been an actual sound weapon, like something that would have been designed to create an enormously like deafening sound, just deafen the entire enemy soldiers basically, and your guys would be safe because they'd have the whatever it was to protect them from it. There's other people who've suggested it was a weather machine. Other people have suggested it's all these different kinds of things. And again, this is why I've put it at the end, because it's such a strange thing. But again, the files exist. There are plans that relate to Die Glocke, and we don't know what it did.
And so there's like no explanation for the runes either. Then, like,
no,
that's so weird. I mean, okay. So is that an actual photo or is that concept?
That's an artist's representation, but all of the artist representations are very similar because again, you've got plans of this thing.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
just makes no sense what it is. Like normally you can all the other stuff like seeing pretty, you know what it is. It's a fucking tank. It's a giant gun on rails and just a bow.
Yeah. There's a little bit more information on its supposed whereabouts. So Witowski's statements along with Cook's views prompted further conjecture about the device from various American authors, including Joseph P. Farrell, Jim Mars, Henry Stevens, etc., etc., etc. Farrell says that the device was considered so important to the Nazis that they killed 60 scientists that worked on the project and buried them in a mass grave. Hitler's this is all sort of documented in his book Hitler's Suppressed and Still Secret Weapons, Science and Technology in 2007. Stevens states that Die Glocke contained red mercury, which is known to be used in various things. Again, like fusion and things like that. It's a very it's almost mythical substance when it comes to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And describes stories alleging that a concave mirror on top of the device provided the ability to see images from the past during its operation. Now, at that point, I leap off of the crazy train because that's a whole different fucking set.
It's still it sounds
Tasky.
it just sounds like some kind of like no, it's just like just some form of like future technology that they probably just didn't understand and they saw it as an occult thing, which is probably what most of that kind of stuff is. But
what it brings me back to again my previous point with Gustav, the big fucking cannon, because that went big fucking cannon, and then they made a prototype of the base that they were going to put that cannon on, and then they were going to combine the two things into the rat.
Yeah.
And I sort of get that feeling with this as well. Like it was a piece of a much larger puzzle, if you know what I mean. And this was the start of something that they were going to put together to make something either truly horrific or truly impressive, or both.
Because they're maybe like their weapons are getting bigger and bigger. Maybe this was like a power source.
Could be. It could well be. Yeah. I mean, again, like there's. I personally think that a free energy thing is more likely than seeing into the fucking past or anything like that. It seems like the kind of thing that a Nazi Germany would want. A free and unlimited source of energy for their, power.
I mean, the only thing like the looking into the past thing that makes any kind of sense is if it's an anti-gravity thing, then maybe in some way.
I suppose you're right. Yeah, if it is,
But I don't see them having the ability to do that. And if they did by pure accident, they wouldn't have known what to do with it. Hence why it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. But it's interesting, man. It's just interesting to me that these things are still out there, Yeah. And there's no one else who's done shit quite like what the Nazis did. And I'm not saying be a Nazi, by the way. Definitely don't be a Nazi. Never be a Nazi. They're shitty people. But what is it that gave them the ability to do that shit?
Drugs and hate.
Yeah.
Drugs and hate give you a lot of energy. And if you're smart too, you're on it, man. You're going to keep going forever.
Yeah, it's a good point, actually. Yeah.
Probably like that simple.
Yeah. We just hate these people enough that we are going to keep killing them in whatever way we want to do it. In fact, we're going to come up with new and interesting ways of killing these people.
Just to make
because, quite frankly, we're so bored of killing these people. Why don't we fly upwards between them in this incredibly fast plane as they won't know what the fuck's going on?
It's just craziness mixed with pissing contests. They want to just look better than everyone. Have the craziest shit, just scare the shit out of everyone. But then you think about some of the British, like the Allied ways that they fought against it. Like one of the best ones that I think is great, and the fact that it works as well is amazing. Is they had like something like 20 or 30% of like all British, I think it was American ships actually, bedazzled. Yeah. Have you seen that? They were bedazzled.
What? No.
I'm gonna find a picture of this for you. It's it sounds crazier than it is. Like we didn't think bedazzled. They didn't have like glitter hanging off a labula, whatever it's called. I'm trying to talk about bedazzled vaginas there while I'm searching. It's not working.
I got
labia. That's it. There was bedazzled. It was a way of
breaking up the camouflage. Yeah. So basically, it makes it look like it's a reflection of the water as opposed to an actual ship out there. Yeah.
If that's what they were going for, it might have been what they were going for, but it's not what it looked like in the end. I don't really understand how it worked at all, to be quite honest with you. But apparently, where the fuck did that go? Hold on, I sent it to the wrong place. Apparently.
Oh no!
Where did that go to? Downloads, yeah. The hell? Save there. Yes. Yeah, I don't know how exactly it was supposed to work, but it apparently worked, and like literally most of the ships that had this on just did not get sunk somehow. It's like a legitimate thing. That.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
And
know
what
how
the
that works.
hell? Please,
So
please enlighten us.
basically,
For anyone that can't
close
see
up.
it, it's ships that are
Yeah.
just random black and white lines painted in kind of different directions, kind of askew to each other
Yeah.
at different parts of the ship.
So close up, it's pointless. Don't get me wrong. Close up, it's pointless. But of course, on a big open sea, you're seeing shit all the way out to the horizon, and
Mhm.
that is what that is designed for. Because when you're looking down the telescope towards the horizon to see what's there, and there's a boat off in the distance, if it's one solid thick color and you see it, you can see the edge incredibly clearly. But when you break it up, it suddenly sort of blends a little bit more into the background. So you've got the white against the black. So it starts to sort of disappear into the haze in the
Yeah.
distance of the thing. It's very much in the same way that camouflage works in real life. Because if you look at someone wearing camouflage, of course, you can see someone wearing camouflage. But it's not about that. It's about breaking up your form amongst other things. So if you're wearing red in the middle of uh, a field,
Desert.
a forest,
Yeah.
you're going to get seen. You know, because you're going to see it through all the leaves. But if you're wearing all the camouflage, it's broken up your form enough that your mind, anyone else's mind, will do its normal trick and just fill in the blanks because you
Yeah.
don't actually see all of what you see. You see about 10% of what you actually see. So in
I
the
feel like it
distance,
feels strange that would do that from that though.
yeah, but
Like,
it sounds weird, but it's a similar sort of thing to what they did with planes. Because a lot of planes would sort of fly over and they sort of painted the bottoms of it blue because they thought, it's the sky's blue, the plane's blue, you won't be able to see it. But what they actually found out is that the reflection they were getting back made it look bright white from down below, and like you'd really easily see it.
yeah.
So instead, or it was either that or the other way, I can't remember. But what they did instead is they started painting the bottom of them pink because the reflection of that made it almost disappear
Oh,
into the
so
sky.
just because I'm seeing it like that, yeah, I'm looking at it in a
Yeah,
completely
because
different
you're looking.
perception, completely
Yeah,
different.
exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're looking at it sort of right here and right now in front of you, and that's not what it's designed to do. It's
yeah,
designed
yeah.
to mess with the edge of your periphery to sort of give you that. Is there something there? Nah, there's nothing
And
there. And then, of
did they
course, by the
use
time you've said that, you're shot.
any kind of like targeting stuff back then? Do you know, or was it literally just like free
Nope.
aim?
Free aim.
Okay.
They'd have a targeting thing on there, and it would have a certain amount of things like, okay, so range find, that guy's over there. He's 20 miles away using the rangefinder. Okay, how long is it going to take for the thing to get there? What kind of parabola do we need to get it to hit?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all.
So it's like
It's mad.
the tiniest little bit of like, that even changing like, like a meter, making it look just the tiniest bit further away or closer or whatever
Yeah.
will throw it all
Not
off.
only that, not only that, but there were some ships that were capable of firing the barrages at different, like, so they'd have 3 guns on the deck, and all of the guns would aim at one target. They'd fire up really high in an arc. Then they'd aim down and fire again, and aim down and fire again. And the reason why is because they were setting up the arc so that the first one would launch, and while that one was beginning to come down, the second one was already firing. And by the time those two hit, the third one was already
Yeah.
firing, all at different parabolas, hitting exactly the same point. So out of the blue, instead of having one splash and being able to dodge, it's just suddenly boom, 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 and you're fucked.
That makes sense from when you see it, actually, because you generally always see that they're always doing that. It's like they're always coming down when they're shooting, when you see it in
Yeah.
videos and that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because that as well.
Okay.
That the other reason for that is you don't necessarily want to fire into the side of the ship again because of the turpits thing. It's got a soft wooden deck on the top, and you want to lob them down into that.
Yeah.
But
you're still going to shoot to the side anyway, because I might tip it, and then
goddamn right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the armor piercing's for, because they fire the shit out of high explosive on the top, set fire to the top of the ship, and then fire into the side of it with the armor piercing and sink the fucker. Horrible, horrible way to go.
It's all horrible, but it's all kind of amazing though as well when you think about it.
Yeah.
All of this
Yeah.
is so interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I like it.
Nazi death machines.
We'll have to do one just because I imagine there's all other kinds of crazy shit, like just not even just from the Nazis, because I know some like from old back in times and that, like there's probably some crazy ass fucking shit.
Yeah, there's some mad Russian shit out there. There's some crazy shit the Chinese have done, and not only that, but we haven't even got into the scientific experiments yet. Like that shit gets even more messed up and horrifying.
Oh, the general like Nazi ones.
Yeah, man, fucking hell, Mengele and shit like that.
I've heard some.
Yeah,
I think I've taken a lot of them out of my brain. I can't. I assume I can't think of them right now, but I know there's some fucked up ones.
Yeah, Mengele was one of the most fucked up ones. He was one of the ones.
Oh, was that the twin one?
Yeah, he'd get Jewish twins, and then he'd torture one and see if the other one could feel it. Yeah, and he enjoyed it because he was a dirty, nasty bastard.
And seen ones of like putting dogs' head, like crazy ones do, like dogs' heads onto people and random shit and swapping. I swear there was something about it. I don't know if it was Nazi, but 2-headed dogs that they made actually lived for it. Both of them.
That was Russia.
Videos. That's fucking crazy.
Russia. They were seeing if they could successfully do a head transplant, and then that was basically the thing that convinced everyone. Yeah, you could, but you probably fucking shouldn't.
Yeah, shockingly. That's the only thing I'd want to go to uni to do now. You know, if I could go to uni and do anything, I would choose to go and do like theology and history. I'd love to do all that kind of stuff. Just the history of religion. Yeah, but at the same time, what the fuck kind of job are you going to get from that? Really, other than a professor? What? No.
Or a priest.
Yeah, I could start a cult. I could do it anyway, though.
Yeah. You don't need a degree to start a cult. Look at Charlie Manson.
There you go. I do need a lot of LSD though, maybe.
Yeah, but that's fine. You can find that. Yeah.
That's one thing I've never had. You know, I've never had like acid or LSD, anything like that.
Yeah, no, I've never had a single hallucinogen yet. It's one of my great disappointments.
I haven't purposely had hallucinogens, or knowingly had hallucinogens, or still don't know how I had that trip. But I mean, I have. Apparently, bombing pure MDMA for like 4 days straight, constantly, will make you trip out.
It seems, it probably would. Yeah.
And mixing that with a lot of alcohol, a lot of bud, who knows everything. Yeah. Still fun though. No,
have you ever done strawberries and cream, as they call it, which is MDMA and cocaine?
No, I've smoked it. Cocaine, but
MDMA and cocaine.
Once again, not knowingly.
Yeah, it's an incredibly heady mix. It's I
can imagine.
Yeah, there's a friend of mine whose sister told us a story about her and her girlfriend, and they'd tried a little bit of strawberries and cream, and they'd ended up.
What the fuck does that name even come from for it though?
I don't know, but by the time they got to the end of the night, they'd literally been sort of cutting each other on the back and stuff because it felt nice, and they'd sort of lost their inhibitions due to the coke and shit. Shit got weird. Don't mix coke and MDMA.
Right. I can't imagine. I don't know. I can't imagine like from the experience that I've had with MD. Like I can't imagine doing that out in the inside. Like the atmosphere I was doing this.
You see, that's the thing. So where did you usually do MDMA? Was it at a rave or something like that?
Oh, the download.
I
was there for the full 5 days. I started on the Wednesday and I stopped on the Saturday because I tripped out.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think I could do that though, man. I don't think I could do MDMA at download. Metal music really doesn't fit well with me when I'm on MDMA. I'm just sitting there like, oh Jesus, this is too much. Oh, it's too loud. Oh, it's too aggressive. Why is he so angry?
The energy of it was what I liked more than anything, and I think that was the first time I'd had it proper. No, I'd had little bits like at parties and stuff, and that was like the first time I'd had it like more so for a long while. So I'd only had it in little dabs and thought it would be the same. But no, to be fair, up until that night, it was really fun. Met a lot of
Yeah.
fun people, I think. I don't know. They might have
I
been
don't
looking
know
at
what
me
it
weird.
is, man.
I creeped out
'Cause,
someone
like,
I
every
knew, but that was about
yeah,
it. Because I think they knew
every
how high I was.
yeah. I think every time I've done it, it's been just me and a couple of mates, and we'll go somewhere where we know no one's going to turn up. Bring a load of bud with us. We'll bring some, some drinks and things like that. Not alcohol, just soft drink.
Yeah.
And then we'll lower the lights down a little bit, have a little bit of a line, wait for it to come to hit in, and then you just sort of listen to banging tunes all night long, skank away with your mates, have great conversations. Like at one point I was fucked off my face on it, and I was talking to this guy I knew who's an absolute hero, but we were just sort of having a little conversation. He was like, okay, if you could be anything, any object, what kind of object would you want to be? Like what a piece of furniture in a room. And I just immediately went, I'd like to be a lamp. And he was like, why would you want to be a lamp? Because then I could be used to bring light to situations, and also people could like create shit using the light that I made. So I'd still be being sort of an artist. And he's like, yeah, that's fucking incredible. And then because we shared that little moment, we have both immediately shoot the fuck right out of the stratosphere. So we're both gurning our tits off like,
It is weird how he does that though. You can have like a shared thinking and it just shoots you off. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's what a bit about the set is. Where I talk about like creating invisible strands of like, and making tiny pieces of doll furniture. Yeah, man. That was the
before you was
best
going with
thing.
that story. Then I was like, I swear there was something about a chair.
Yeah. Because I literally
Great.
that is actually 100% true. I was handing out little bits of furniture I'd made to my friends. It was incredible. And also when you're sitting there and you sort of just a group of mates who you know really closely, there's this warmth, this incredible warmth and close connection
when you're all
going
doing
on.
it together as well.
Yeah, man. And you sort of lying down in front of a mirror, and for God's sake, people keep messaging me. You're sort of lying down in front of a mirror and you've got a friend next to you and you're staring at each other in the mirror and you're like, oh, I know that's me in the mirror, but it doesn't look like me. It looks like a person impersonating my moves. Oh, this is amazing. I love it. But there's another place where me and my friend, we got fucked up, and there was a picture of the Queen Mum.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Just this little picture of her. And mate, oh, whenever you looked at her, she was staring right back at you like, what drugs are you on? And it's like, I'm not on anything.
The way you said that then, I thought you was going to go into something like, oh, she just got so attractive for some reason. That noise you made, you're like, oh, man.
No. No, that shit was amazing, man. I miss that shit so much.
So I think as you get older, you don't want to be doing that kind of stuff as much now because you know your body just can't deal with it as much.
Handle it as well. Yeah, it takes so long to get over that shit.
I think that was one thing why I took MD. Why we took MD with us when we went. Because if you ever had E, like
ecstasy
come down
pills
from
on.
that, I hate them. I love the feeling at the time, but so not
because
worth
ecstasy is just cheap
mixed
MDMA. That's what it is. Yeah, it's just cheap MDMA, and I'm not up for that. And the thing about MDMA as well is I always snorted it. Okay, which hurts like a fucking cunt.
Yeah. I was doing that at first.
It really does. Yeah, the first one I always snort, and the reason why is as it's going up, you can tell exactly what's going to happen. You're like, okay, that's good stuff. It smells right. It feels right. I'm probably going to be all right for the night. I'll wait to see what happens when it kicks in, and then I should be okay. Because if I just bomb it, I can't fucking tell. I have no idea what it tasted like. No idea what it smelled like. It's just gone down, and I'm just going to have to wait for the effects. You know what I mean?
And it lasts a lot longer as well.
Yeah.
Too long.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Too long.
Too long. I wanted it to wear off so much when I was a download. I know I've gone through the story before, but I genuinely believe those snails are put on there to attack, like as some kind of revenge for me destroying the gig that I did not destroy. I I still need to turn it into a bit on stage. I'm just trying to figure out the ending to it still. I tried it before in the past, and I just don't know the ending.
It's okay. I know it sounds silly, and it might not be perfect to your current situation. But the way I always found it when I got stuck on writing a joke like that is I always try and find some other thing that relates to it, and then you can sort of punch that in as the sort of combination ending, if you know what I mean, so as a comparison.
That's kind of where I'm leaning with it now more because I kind of the last couple of times I think I did it when I was there with you just before I do that little bit about you know, like I'm not comfortable in crowds while I've been on a stage, and I think it's just comfortable having that bit because that leads to that. So I'm trying to figure out a way to shorten that, to put that in there to get to that. Yeah,
that's smart. Yeah, I see that. Yeah,
it's all getting there slowly, and I've got a couple of my mates coming down for this gig on Thursday, so it's like the first time I've had some of my friends coming down because I know you had that like last time. I feel like that's going to make me more nervous.
I wasn't expecting it, man. I so wasn't expecting it that day. I had my mate Mike there, and I was like, "Oh, Mike will be there. That's fine." And then suddenly Ben and Beck turn up. I'm like, "Oh shit! Now I've got to be good."
I'm looking forward to it though. It's nice having a couple of things actually lined up as well.
It is. I think I've got 3 potential gigs next month, it's lovely, man. It's just lovely to know that I've got shit happening. Yeah.
Oh, actually, I'm going to talk to you about something else with that gig in a second, actually. But I think we should end this now, actually.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. We got to the natural end.
Because it's starting to get to a closing time, and I have to get up again in the morning and do more lifting.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to mention to you in a second, but I'll mention it when we're finished.
Excellent.
But from everyone, all of us, and thank you very much if you got through to the end watching this, because we've been chatting a lot of random shit for the last. We was on about capping it, and we just didn't. That's all.
No, it's all right. It's all right. We've done a shitload of stuff on Nazis, and then you got an assorted chunk of random shit in the world. And if anything, I don't have a way to finish that sentence. Speak to you later.
Later, people.
Kill them with comedy.